Good morning and welcome to Nora's Dog Training Company. We're here today with Magnolia and Fred, and what we're going to be demonstrating for you today on video is your little puppy's ability to understand and respond to her formal on-leash obedience commands. The little tiny corrections and lots of motivation that we give the pups when we're working with them, and the training equipment that we're using. Fred is using a regular 6-foot web training leash, and he keeps the bulk of the leash folded neatly in his right hand. That leaves his left hand free to give any little tiny correction that's needed, and it is just what Fred showed you, a tiny tug and release on the training collar. Now Maggie is sitting very nicely at Fred's left, which is where all of our obedience training is done, and the first exercise that we would like to demonstrate for you is heeling. Heeling is proper leash walking, and the command is Maggie heel. At this point, Maggie has a job to do, and that is to maintain pace with Fred when walking. Not forging ahead or lagging behind, but staying right with her trainer. And each time that he stops his feet, she has been taught to sit automatically without being told to wait for her next command. So this makes walking her a pleasure. You're leading the walk, not her. And I mean, she's a silly puppy. Every once in a while she loses her focus and concentration. But for the most part, she's heeling nicely, and she's sitting right away when Fred stops. Now the next command that we're going to demonstrate for you is the sit stay. Stay is a hand and a voice command, and because it is a stationary exercise, it is a one-word command. Your homework will be to lengthen out the time that she can hold it and the distance that you can go. So start out at about 30 seconds and work up to 3 minutes. When Fred returns back to her, he walks all the way around her. She remains seated until Fred gets back to that heel position. He gives her a pat for praise, and they're just going to do a little lap around, and we're going to demonstrate that again for you. Nice sit. Now she was trying to lay. So Fred walked her out of it, leaves her in the stay. It's very, very hot and humid out here, so the puppies feel it too, as much as the trainers. This time Fred's going to demonstrate the come on command. You use her name, and she comes right in front of you and sits facing your knees, so there should be no jumping, but she should get praised for a good recall. And they will demonstrate that exercise again for us. It's funny, you see the puppy in her when she's jumping around like a nut, and then all of a sudden when Fred stops his feet, she sits automatically like a good girl. He leaves her in a stay. Again, turns to face her. With the come, you do use her name. You don't get too overly enthusiastic because she launches herself at you. Now the next commands that we're going to be demonstrating for you are your down commands. The first one is your down from a heel position. So with her seated at your left open palm, straight down toward the ground, and the one-word command to down and stay. And your stationary exercises can be practiced indoors as well as outdoors. If it's too hot, too muggy, the puppy's going to be panting and suffering, practice in the house. When Fred returns back to her, again, he walks all the way around her. She remains lying down until he gets back to her shoulders, and she expects to get another command. And he heels her out of that. Just bring her around, Fred, and do another down because it's hot. No. When she didn't sit, you heard Fred say no. And give that little tug that we talked about. And then he will call her out of this down stay. She's a really good girl. We have enjoyed having her. She's been a wonderful guest and really relatively low maintenance. Some of her hard-headedness is probably the Berna in her, the Bernese Mountain Dog, but she's done a great job. We've enjoyed having her. We want to thank you again for choosing Nora's Dog Training Company, and we will see you tomorrow.